Hi everyone, a very good morning to all of you watching this video. I am Manat Sharma from Oliveboard and I'm here with a live mint analysis that usually we do every Monday, Wednesday and Friday, but yesterday I could not take up a class in the morning. That is why I did not want to, miss out on anything, so I'm taking the class today. I hope all of you are doing well. Your exams are approaching and I hope you guys are studying also, right? And so let's not waste time. Let's begin with our session for today. Before I begin, if you want to download this YouTube class PDF, you can do it from the Oliveboard app. Just go to the courses section. There's going to be a separate YouTube class PDFs folder. You can download the PDF from here. Okay. Also, just let me know whether my audio and video is clear, all of you, or not. Okay, so that we can have the class in a smooth and continuous manner. Let's see what are we going to cover in today's session. Let's take a look at that first. First news we have that India faces WTO scrutiny over import curbs and quality control measures. Again, we are seeing this news over here. पहले भी we have seen this news in detail है ना that most of the times we are under scrutiny by WTO, World Trade Organization, right? Good morning Sudarshan Maharishi. Then we're going to talk about deglobalization, de-risking and deregulation, crack the 3D code and how we can utilize this deglobalization, this de-risking and deregulation for how can we manage and balance out these three terms. You're going to understand the meaning of each of these terms and how we can balance out all three of them and move towards a prosperous country. That is what this second article is about. Then, Finance Minister, RBI Governor see India as global anchor amid flux. So, we are here talking about the geopolitical tensions and all, and how India is performing. We are going to see what this news is about. The Niti Aayog proposes simplified tax rules. So, we are going to discuss about that as well. Then, there are going to be a few fact based news, and at last, we are going to do MCQ practice. Okay. If there's anyone new over here and you want to connect with me beyond this session, then I'm sharing with you my Telegram handle. Mannat Educator is my Telegram handle. Just type Mannat Educator and you will have access to my Telegram group. ठीक है? चलिए. Let's begin with our session over here. First news is that India faces WTO scrutiny over import curbs quality control. सबसे पहले तो आप मुझे ये बता दीजिए that WTO का headquarter कहाँ पर है? Where is the headquarter of WTO? Where is the headquarter of WTO? A very important economic institution, a very important international institution, which is important from your exam point of view. You need to know where the headquarter is. You need to know about the details, about the agreements under WTO. ठीक है, everything should be clear to all of you. ठीक है, हाँ जी. Good morning, Bhakti. Good morning, John. Where is Maharishi Singh colony? Switzerland. Not at all, Maharishi. Not at all in Switzerland. Sorry, in Switzerland, but not colony. Good morning, Harmanpreet Kaur. Yes, absolutely correct, John and Bhakti. It is in Geneva, Switzerland. So, in Geneva, Switzerland, we have the headquarter of WTO. ठीक है? Please remember it as it's very important. ठीक है? तो अब यहाँ पे what is the news? See, India has come under fresh scrutiny under from this World Trade Organization. Why? Due to its import restrictions and quality control orders. So, what is India doing? It is trying to restrict the imports of a few commodities. Plus, it has put in some quality control orders. Quality control orders in the sense that because your quality, we are saying, India is saying that because your quality is not good, we are not going to import from you. So, quality control orders have been put up by India. WTO is saying that these are forms of non-trade barriers which is hindering trade. So, what is WTO saying? That these are forms of non-trade barriers which is hindering trade, which is a problematic thing. Now, what is this? This is this draft report 2025. India featured prominently in draft report for 2025 released by WTO's Committee on Market Access. So, this report is released by WTO of member nations like India. The report notes that India's quantitative restrictions on pulses have drawn repeated scrutiny from several countries like Australia, Canada, European Union. So, we are trying to put import restrictions on the import of pulses. That is what this news is about. Quality control orders have been put on tires and air conditioners. Ki bhai, you are not making these products with a good quality, so we are not going to import. Okay, so it has also been questioned. Like EU, Indonesia, Chinese Taipei, which is Taiwan, Thailand, all of them have questioned these quality control orders. These countries argued that such measures could limit market access and increase compliance burdens, which is what? Which is distorting trade. Okay, the WTO as an organization, what does it do? It tries to check out whether trade is happening in a smooth manner, continuous manner, and there is no limitation to it. China raised issues concerning pocket lighters. Japan and Thailand expressed concerns over air conditioners. USA did not raise any objections as of now, which is a question that how come that is possible, right? Now, what are quality control orders? They are mandatory government regulations that require specific products to conform to designated Indian standards. So, what are quality control orders? That you have to meet our standards, otherwise we will not import them from you. Okay, these are issued by Bureau of Indian Standards (BIS). Okay, products must carry this BIS mark before they are manufactured, sold, or imported in India. That is. Okay, government claims that these measures aim to enhance product quality, protect customer or consumer safety, curb substandard imports. That is the major reason, and these are why these are being scrutinized, because these are considered as non-tariff barriers distorting trade. Okay, so this is what the news is about. Now, WTO as an organization, it is an international institution overseeing global trade regulations. When was it established? 1995. The precursor to WTO was GATT, General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, which the ambit of which was very small, which is related to only goods ka import and export. So 1948 में GATT was formed. Then there were different rounds of GATT. Then finally, the Uruguay round, WTO was formed in 1995 by signing the Marrakesh Agreement. Okay, I hope you know these details. Okay, I hope you know these details. Okay, so major aim of WTO is to facilitate free, fair, and predictable trade between the nations and deregulation. Anyone, meaning of any of these words? Anyone? Anji Sudarshan, Bhakti, John, Harman, Maharishi. Any idea? See, globalization as a concept, what does it mean? Globalization, when we talk about globalization as a concept, it is the process of integrating with the world economy, process of conducting trade with the world economy, integrating with the de-risking is reducing the risk to geopolitical conditions, geopolitical issues, problems. Deregulation is reducing the regulation on the industries and all, so that it is easy for them to survive. They have more freedom, compliances are reduced. So, this article is saying how can we balance all these three things for a prosperous country? Geofragmentation, Maharishi is saying. How can we balance these three things to become a developed country? Okay, so it talks about these three Ds, that they should be balanced carefully by the nation so that we can manage openness to the world economy while also maintaining the resilience and domestic strength. So we have to maintain our relationship with the world economy. We have to maintain trade relations with world economy. Our openness should be good enough with the world economy. है ना? While maintaining resilience and domestic strength also. ठीक है? So deglobalization, they are saying that despite popular discussions around deglobalization, still global merchandise trade reached an all-time high in 2022 at $25 trillion. We are continuously talking about deglobalization, about protectionism, how trade is reducing between countries. But if you see the actual numbers, then global merchandise trade has actually increased. It is at an all-time high, especially in 2022 at $25 trillion because of demand for technology, energy. So, ek taraf we are saying that deglobalization is increasing, but if we talk about the actual numbers, or if I talk about the reality, then merchandise trade is actually happening. Okay? Global FDI flows fell to 1.3 trillion in 2023, lower than the peak of $2 trillion in 2021. Services trade remained robust, exports continuing to rise. What does this mean? That deglobalization is strong, no doubt. We are focusing on Atmanirbhar Bharat, we are focusing on deglobalizing, but the actual trade is still resilient, especially in Asia. Your actual trade is still resilient. Okay? Then de-risking is a genuine shift. So we can see transition, a real transition in this de-risking thing. Countries are diversifying their supply chains. We are trying to diversify supply chains so that our dependence on one particular country is reduced, so that that risk is reduced. ठीक है, say we are completely dependent on China can put up restrictions on us and it is going to be a big risk for us. So we are trying to diversify our the supply chains. We are reallocating resources, reducing dependence on a single nation. For example, after US tariffs, we are also doing the same, diversifying our customer base. The focus has shifted towards securing supply chains, reducing vulnerabilities. China exemplifies this transition by maintaining trade with the partners. Because exports and imports are tightly linked in today's interconnected world. Any tax on imports effectively becomes a tax on exports. Comparative advantage still plays a role, but self reliance, that means basically what they're saying is that we need to balance out these three Ds for a robust economy. Okay? India must navigate the global environment by embracing self reliance also, but we do not have to isolate ourselves also from the world economy. Okay, India's approach should be agro-industrial policy because we need to improve these sectors of the economy. Services sector is anyway doing well. There's this concentration risk when we do not diversify our uh, destinations and all. है ना? But there are certain policy challenges for India, that India must balance domestic reforms with global competitiveness. Policies like Digital India, GST 2.0, they are very important to strengthen the competitiveness and reduce compliance burdens also. India must modernize industrial strategies, including digital ecosystems and innovation policies. ठीक है? Fine, we need to bring in clear industrial policies, a strong entrepreneurial ecosystem, and a mix of global integration with domestic resilience. Only then we can become a world leader at the global level. ठीक है? I hope this is clear. Then Finance Minister, RBI Governor, they see India as global anchor amid flux. So what is this news? That they are saying, they have highlighted the India's role as a stabilizing global force amid global uncertainties. That despite these uncertainties, geopolitical issues, India has still fared well. India is still resilient. They emphasize India's strong domestic consumption, investment momentum, and reforms. These are the key strengths which is insulating us from external shocks. Okay? World is witnessing global trade flows, capital markets, alliances undergoing seismic shifts. Okay? The old global economic order shaped after Cold War is being described as a relic of the past. Key now we are not going to see this kind of an issue. Major global conflicts have happened, like Ukraine to the Middle East. They're pushing up energy costs, but still you can see that India is resilient. India has positioned itself as a pillar of stability despite these geopolitical issues, because there is strong domestic consumption, there are steady investment inflows, structural reforms are also there. We are bringing in structural reforms like GST, IBC, digitization, right? Take care. Then, though these trade conflicts, these trade frictions are evident, because US has also imposed an up to 50% tariffs, a total of 50% tariffs. There are growing challenges in the global trade. Okay. Then what is the finance minister saying? That there are tough choices that nations face today. Whether we want to focus on growth or sustainability, whether we want to focus on energy transition, on energy security, whether we want to focus on investment attraction versus high borrowing costs. These are the trade-offs that we face on an everyday basis. And India has remained resilient in addressing these trade-offs. That is what this article is about. ठीक है? So India seems well settled into an equilibrium resilient growth, because of our sound credit policies, our regulations. And he said you cannot control the storm, but you can steer the ship. That is what RBI governor said. ठीक है? Though there are certain policy framework or reforms that can be taken up, for example, macro financial discipline reforms, digital ecosystem expansion, green transition initiatives, so that we can maintain our resilience among these. ठीक है? Then we have a news that Niti Aayog proposes simplified tax rules for offshore entities. So Niti Aayog, India's federal policy think tank, it has proposed presumptive taxation scheme. Which scheme? Presumptive taxation scheme for offshore companies which are deriving profits from India. So those companies which have established their presence in our country, in India, those offshore companies, they are earning a lot and deriving profits from India, and for that we have our presumptive taxation scheme. It is part of broader effort to enhance India's appeal to investors by providing tax certainty, reducing litigation, improving ease of doing business. The aim is to attract higher quality of foreign direct investment, strengthen India's position as predictable, business friendly regime. That is what is the major issue. So what is this scheme? This aims to simplify tax compliance and offer tax certainty, which is very important for attracting foreign investors. We are not sure of our tax rules only, so nobody is going to come and invest in our country. So we're trying to simplify these tax rules. We're trying to make them certain so that foreign investors have good amount of idea, and they can invest more and more in our country, so that more and more FDI we can attract. Okay? Then the proposal includes an optional industry specific scheme also. Ki industry wise specific schemes for different sectors we should have, so that there is flexibility, there is relevance. Okay, initiative is part of larger strategy to provide legislative clarity, improve administrative efficiency, introduce stronger dispute resolution, so that it's just easy to do business, it's just easy to invest in our country. Okay, we want to improve the investor confidence and FDI quality. That is why we are bringing in these changes. Then non-resident business and permanent establishment. Currently what is happening is that non-resident businesses, they are taxable if they have a permanent establishment. So they are only taxable when they have a permanent establishment in our country. They have a fixed business in our country, which leads to disputes regarding the interpretation of what is a permanent establishment. Abhi we only put up this rule for permanent establishment. And baki, if they are coming on a temporary basis, there is no there is no tax on temporary establishments. So what were these permanent establishments doing? They were representing themselves as temporary establishments only to avoid this tax. So to avoid all these things, there has to be regulatory certainty, there has to be certainty regarding all the things. That is why we have this scheme which aims to mitigate these disputes by providing a clearer framework. Okay? And this proposal is also going to address the taxation of non-resident firms operating in the digital economy. So digital economy is also included over here. Okay? So firms can now opt to be taxed on a set percentage of India sourced revenue instead of case by case audit. So they can have a fixed percentage. Ki, 10% of this is going to go to India, like that. Okay? Then FDI inflows have seen fluctuations. So Niti Aayog believes that persistent tax uncertainty acts as a drag because of this FDI reduction. That is why we have to improve the compliance and all. We have to improve and make it certain. We have to make tax certain so that there is proper FDI inflows. There are no fluctuations. Okay? And we have to enhance our tax base and improve our stability as well. Okay? So these were the major news from today. Apart from that, we have a few fact-based news. For example, FPIs pulled record 2 trillion rupees on valuations. Weak rupee. Okay, so we are talking about foreign portfolio investors taking out their money. There are outflows of FPIs. Okay, they have pulled a record 2 trillion rupees from Indian secondary cash markets, other performing counters, and there are certain reasons for that. One reason is the impact of market valuations. Market valuation has been very high, heavy valuations in Indian markets. These are the major reason why FPI is going out of our country. Okay, weakening rupee is also depreciating. Hot money flows. Yes, Maharishi. Weakening rupee is also depreciating. It has slipped 3.5% in 23 to 88.69 to the dollar. Okay, then though these foreign portfolio investors are taking out their money, but our domestic institutional investors have offered good amount of support, and these domestic institutional investors, they have offset this FPI exodus. They have offset this money which is going out of the economy. Okay, so despite the FPI sell of domestic institutional investors, especially the mutual funds, they have increased their holdings, providing a crucial counterbalance to foreign outflow. So we are still resilient. Why? Because our domestic institutional investors are doing well. They are providing us support. Okay, rupee has depreciated. There are other global macroeconomic factors also, like interest rates are rising globally, especially in the US. Stronger dollar. They have made emerging markets like India less attractive. Okay, then equity performance, if I talk about, then they have performed little better. If I talk about sectoral performance, financial and IT sectors have seen significant selling pressure from FPIs. Which all sectors? Financials and IT sectors. RBI continues to monitor these capital flows. We are still resilient. Why? Because our domestic institutional investors are still doing well. Okay? Then next generation reforms to tackle land women's participation. This is a viewpoint kind of thing, that we need to bring next generation reforms for a robust economy, for improving the performance of Indian economy. We need to bring in land reforms. We need to digitize the land titles. We have to bring in, there should be rapid digitization of land titles databases, so that there can be legal certainty of land ownership. We can reduce the disputes, streamline land transactions and all. We need to reduce cost and time for business so that it's easy to do any kind of business. There are certain recommendations on land matters. The Council on Goods and Services Tax, GST Council, they have recommended better center state coordination on land matters. Women's participation right now is very low. There is low female workforce participation rate as compared to countries like China. In India, it is 32.8% LFPR. But in countries like China, 59.6%, Australia 50.4%, US 56.5%. Okay? So center is aiming to address these barriers, bring in new framework for social security, provide efficiency in ownership and registration. And World Bank data indicates India's low standing in female workforce participation. That means if we want to improve our performance, we need to bring in women more and more in the ambit of LFPR, labor force. Okay? Then there is high level committees. There are two high level committees formed by the government in August. They are working on disinvestment reforms, comprehensive governance overhauls, focuses on key government secretariats and industries. We need to focus on transparency and accountability. We need to bring in broader legislative, administrative, and judicial reforms that involve people, organizations, economic participation. Okay? Then we have an article that India has bilateral carbon credit deals. Bilateral carbon credit deals. See, we were talking about this carbon trading mechanism. I have discussed about this carbon trading mechanism. For example, there is this business A, there is this business B. They are allowed to only consume or produce 100 units of carbon dioxide. This is the limit that has been set for A and B both. Okay. Now say A has used only 80 units and B has used 120 units. So what can A do? It can sell its credits to B in exchange for money. This is what is the carbon trading mechanism. Now this is between one business and second business within a country, within India. So we are talking about here bilateral carbon credit deals. Now these credit deals can be between different countries. Say Japan and India. Say India ka limit is 100 units. Japan ka limit is 100 units. Japan has only consumed 80 units. India has consumed 120 units. So now India can buy credits from Japan in exchange for money. This is bilateral credit deal. This is bilateral carbon credit deals. So India is signing such deals. India has signed its first such deal called the Joint Crediting Mechanism. What is it called? Joint Crediting Mechanism with Japan on 7th August. So, bilateral carbon credit arrangements is between two countries. India is in talks with countries like Singapore, Sweden, South Korea to set up bilateral carbon crediting arrangements. The aim is to support low carbon projects, facilitate emission reductions, advance Paris Agreement goals. This is the first such deal with Japan. Okay, joint crediting mechanism we call it. This was signed. What is the benefit for India? India is poised to benefit from receiving investment in notified industries like steel, biogas, hydrogen power, carbon capture. And India wants to become a seller of credits so that we can, increase our revenue from another source, so that our revenue increases, our revenue sources increase. Okay? When we talk about these deals promise access to clean technology, climate finance in India, which is very important for us to transition into clean technology or a low carbon economy. Okay, bilateral agreements are also going to strengthen our overall ties, economic ties. What is the advantage of this JCM? It provides baseline standards, methodologies for emission reduction. It promotes carbon market mechanisms also. It helps in emission reduction also. So this is the positive part of it. It is going to really help out in this. Okay? Then RBI eyes more trade settlements in rupee. That means this news is related to internationalization of rupee. Internationalization of rupee. Acha, I took up a class yesterday at 10 p.m. related to RBI MPC Monetary Policy Committee related reforms. They have suggested some reforms. So please go check out that video. There were some articles in the newspaper related to this, but I did not add it over here so that you can read it in a more comprehensive manner, all consolidated in a consolidated manner on YouTube. Check out the Oliveboard YouTube channel. What all reforms RBI has proposed. I took it yesterday only. So please check it out. Okay, read it also because I did not take up those articles over here. I had to take it up over here, but I took a separate detailed lecture. That is why I removed those from here. ठीक है, so यहाँ पे this news is that RBI has more trade settlements in rupees. That means RBI is planning to introduce reference rates for currencies of India's biggest trading partners, so that more and more countries can settle trade in rupee. ठीक है, we're trying to deepen our onshore forex market. The measures are expected to deepen the onshore forex market. ये वाली news also we have covered in detail in that session only. ठीक है, so you can check that out, the details of it. Then efficient trade settlements by reducing need for multiple currency conversions. कि अब हमें जरूरत नहीं है, we do not need to focus on multiple currency conversions. RBI is going to introduce a reference rate only. ठीक है, so we are trying to make trade settlements more efficient and cost effective. So lending to neighboring countries can be in rupees. Which all countries? Bhutan, Nepal and Sri Lanka. We are going to lend them in rupees only. ठीक है? Certain amendments have been done to FEMA also. They will be notified shortly. Abhi, these are just proposed changes. We have not received anything abhi. These are just proposed. You can check out that video I took up yesterday. ठीक है? Rupee saw marginal appreciation. We've seen that rupee is depreciating overall, but marginal appreciation we've seen against the dollar. ठीक है? And our focus is that we need to bring in potential rupee stability through different measures. Okay, then there's long-term goal of internationalization. We want to basically internationalize our rupee. We want to settle more and more money in rupees, more and more trade in rupees, especially with the neighboring countries. FBIL Financial Benchmarks India Limited, which already publishes reference rates for the dollar, euro, pound sterling, Japanese yen against the rupee. It will add currencies of India's trading partners to the list also. Okay, proper, so that there is transparency, there is reliable exchange rate information. Then another news is that government eyes bankruptcy early warning system. अब पहले क्या था? That bankruptcy cases, एक तो there's a lot of issue in this bankruptcy cases and all not being resolved on time, है ना? तो अब क्या कह रहे हैं that we are going to issue early warning systems ताकि we are we get to know beforehand only that what is the problem. We get to know beforehand only कि which company is about to be bankrupt, and so that our provisioning can be accordingly done. Right? So we are talking about a proactive distress mitigation mechanism. The major primary goal is to establish a system that prompts businesses to take steps to mitigate financial distress before it escalates to default or bankruptcy. Early discussions are there on financial difficulties. The system will facilitate early discussions on liquidity and other financial decisions कि हमें पहले ही beforehand ही पता चल जाए, so that our provisioning can be done accordingly. ठीक है? Then there's a prevention action taken up under IBC. Proposals include measures for taking preventive action through early intervention under IBC. तो हम early intervention ही करेंगे rather than waiting कि कब पूरी की पूरी bankrupt हो जाए, पूरा का पूरा पैसा ही चले जाए, है ना? So what we are going to do is we are going to focus on early intervention. We are going to focus on taking preventive action so that we are in a secured position. ठीक है? Then we are going to focus on economic efficiency and NCLT load reduction. We are going to try and reduce this tribunals NCLT's burden, ठीक है, so that fast track तरीके से और early ही detect हो जाए, and early से we try to solve the problems. ठीक है, so there's going to be a risk based early warning framework. A base level early warning framework would include specific distress indicators like financial ratios, continuous disclosure obligations, and sector specific red flags. तो जो ये हमारा early warning framework होगा, इसमें we are going to judge the risk through financial ratios, disclosure obligations, sector specific red flags. You're going to see that these are the problems. ठीक है, we are going to find a solution to this beforehand only, before things go really bad. ठीक है, policy makers, they are going to focus on regulatory collaboration also. They're going to collaborate with different regulators. ठीक है, regulators, auditors, creditors, they would play a very important role in reporting signals of distress. ठीक है, there are certain existing challenges right now. For example, high number of companies in resolution. Since December 2016, 1194 companies have gone through the resolution. But there are capacity constraints also. कितना का हम, how many are we going to really manage? ठीक है, IT enabled creditors were able to realize only 3.89 trillion rupees. मतलब अभी तक proper they have not even settled in their claims and all also. There are delays in the resolution mechanism also. Their cases are exceeding the 330-day timeline. Time से ही नहीं cases solve हो रहे हैं. And there are certain sector based triggers also. There are a few specific industries which are creating more problem. Okay, so these were your important news articles from the newspaper. I hope this is clear to all of you. Okay, now let's do a few MCQs. If there is any doubt, you can ask me in the comment section. Okay, if there is no doubt, let's move on to the MCQ part. Quickly give me the answer, all of you. Which international organization has placed India under scrutiny for its import curbs and quality control measures? IMF, World Trade Organization, UNCTAD, World Economic Forum, OECD. What is the answer? What is the answer? Sudarshan, I will talk about it at last, okay? Or maybe on Telegram. Okay, I have also written about this orange economy in detail. I shared, a write up on that in my Telegram group also. Okay, Sudarshan, but let's wait for the end. Let's finish this off first, okay? WTO. Ha, so the correct answer is B, WTO. Okay? Okay? Very good. Which of the following best describes the concept of de-risking as highlighted in the article Deglobalization, De-risking and Deregulation? Crack the 3D code. Complete withdrawal from global trade to promote local industries only. Reduction of international trade volumes to control inflation. Strategic shift in global integration by reallocating resources, diversifying supply chains and reducing overdependence on a single source. Deregulation of domestic industries to attract foreign investments, limiting imports by imposing higher tariffs without focusing on supply chain resilience. What is the answer? What is the answer, everyone? Second, John Bhakti Sudarshan has given me the answer. What about others? So the answer is C, strategic shift in global integration by reallocating resources, diversifying supply chains, reducing over dependence on a single source. ठीक है? Next, according to Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman and RBI Governor Sanjay Malhotra, which factors have positioned India as a stabilizing global force amid current global turmoil? Heavy reliance on global trade alliances, strong domestic consumption, investment and reforms, increased borrowing from international markets, dependence on energy imports and subsidies, or weakening currency but strong exports? Third questions. Third question, Sudarshan, Bhakti, John have given me B as the answer, which is absolutely correct. Strong domestic consumption, investment, and reforms. Very good. Third question. Fourth question. What is the primary objective of government's proposed early warning system for corporate bankruptcy? To proactively identify financial distress and mitigate bankruptcy risks before default. Reduce time limit for resolving all bankruptcy cases to 30 days. Increase number of companies undergoing formal bankruptcy proceedings. To shift all bankruptcy resolutions exclusively to informal negotiations without regulatory oversight. To completely abolish IBC. Fourth question A, which is absolutely correct. Identify financial distress, mitigate bankruptcy risks before default. Very good. Fifth question. Which of the following is not a measure announced by RBI to strengthen the rupee's global footprint? Introducing reference rates for currencies of India's biggest trading partners, allowing Indian banks to lend in rupees to residents in Bhutan, Nepal, Sri Lanka, mandating all international trade to be settled exclusively in US dollars, offering foreign partners more investment options for special rupee Vostro account balances, deepening the onshore forex market by reducing multiple currency conversions. Fifth question. C, which is absolutely correct, mandating all international trade to be settled exclusively in US dollars. Here we are talking about not a measure, है ना? So negative, गलत वाला point बताना था. Which of the following is not an advantage for India from entering into bilateral carbon credit deals? Receiving investment in low carbon industries like steel and hydrogen, gaining access to clean technology and climate finance, strengthening economic and strategic ties with partner countries, becoming a major buyer of carbon credits from other countries, promoting low carbon projects and emission reductions. Sixth question. Not an advantage for India from entering into bilateral carbon credit deals. 6A you are saying A is not the correct answer, Sudarshan John. The answer is D. ठीक है? हाँ, Sudarshan Bhakti have given me D as the answer, becoming a major buyer of carbon credits from other countries. Which of the following is not a primary focus area of the next generation reforms discussed in the news article? Digitization of land titles, increasing women's participation in the workforce, promoting private sector monopolies, streamlining governance and reducing red tape, addressing the low female labor force participation rate. Seventh question. John Bhakti have given me C as the answer, which is absolutely correct. We do not want to promote private sector monopolies. This is never going to be our solution, right? What is the primary reason cited for the record 2 trillion outflow by foreign portfolio investors from Indian markets? Eighth question. Primary reason: increased domestic demand for Indian equities, strong performance of Indian rupee against the dollar, government restrictions on foreign investments, reduced global interest rates, heavy valuations in the Indian market, and a weakening rupee. Eighth question. Eighth E, C, the correct answer is E, heavy valuations in Indian market and a weakening rupee. ठीक है? Ninth question. Which of the following is not an objective of Niti Aayog's proposed simplified tax rules for offshore entities? To enhance tax certainty for investors, to reduce tax litigation, increase reliance on case by case tax audits, attract higher quality FDI, improve ease of doing business in India. Ninth question. John has given me C as the answer. What about others? Sudarshan C. Bhakti C, which is absolutely correct, to increase reliance on case by case tax audits. ठीक है? Which of the following is not a measure taken by RBI to ease banking norms and boost credit? First, reducing repo rate for the fifth consecutive time, mandating a higher cash reserve ratio for all commercial banks, relaxing restrictions on lending to NBFCs for certain asset classifications, proposing a staggered rollout of expected credit loss framework, allowing authorized dealer banks to lend Indian rupees to residents in Bhutan, Nepal, and Sri Lanka. 10th question. B, which is absolutely correct, mandating higher CRR for all commercial banks. ठीक है? So that is all from my side, everyone. If you want to connect with me beyond these sessions, connect with me on Telegram. Mannat Educator is my Telegram handle. Okay, just type Mannat Educator and you will have access to my Telegram handle. If there is any doubt, you can ask me. Otherwise, we'll end the session over here. Sudarshan asked me about orange economy. See, orange economy, it is related to the creative economy. Sudarshan, okay? It talks about the creative economy. We talk about, filmmaking and all, music making and all. है ना? All these things come under your orange economy. There was this wave summit which was held in, I think it was held in May, as far as I remember. In May, है ना? It was held in Mumbai. We want to position India as a at the global level in this orange economy. Okay, we want to build this orange economy and position ourselves at the international level. So usme different MOUs and all were signed. We talked about strengthening the orange economy and also these are certain fact based details also. So orange economy is what related to your creative economy. फिल्म्स हो गए, फेस्टिवल्स, फिल्म फेस्टिवल्स एंड ऑल हो गया है ना, योर म्यूजिक कंपोजिंग एंड ऑल हो गया, दैट कम्स अंडर योर ऑरेंज इकोनॉमी. Wave summit mein we tried to strengthen this orange economy. There were many leaders and all who met in this summit. ठीक there were you can say startups and all which came up, है ना, and different memorandum of understandings and all were signed. Okay, so this was the basic thing. Baki, you can connect with me if there is any other doubt. Sudarshan, you can connect with me on Telegram. And Baki, to there are the details only which you have to remember. And now we have taken up different reports and these summits. We have taken up details on YouTube, so you can check that out. Okay, yesterday only I took up a reports. MCQs on reports. वहाँ पे भी there was one question related to this wave summit. You can check out the details about that in the explanation part also. I hope this is clear. ठीक है, तो that is all from my side, everyone. Thank you so much. I will see you all in my next one. Till then, keep studying and all the best to you.